Final hour for the week. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We'll get through our best bets for the weekend, brought to you by FanDuel later this hour. The triumphant return of Dear Hayesy-B. Dear Hayesy-B, we're here to help people out, right? People need help, and we are the ones that are going to supply it in about a half an hour.
There's some doozies, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't seen many. I actually haven't been filtering through it all, so I'm going in cold, man. Noodles,
there is one we have to deal with. That is the most critical thing that's going to happen in this young man's life, and we have to decide his fate.
Really?
The most critical thing in his life.
Sounds heavy.
Nerve-wracking. Yeah,
sounds very heavy. It sounds like a lot of responsibility for us.
And we might as well just move it right to the front of the docket.
All right, that one's got to be number one, man. That's
a
tease. Everyone's going to want to hear that, and we're basically going to shape this young man's life. Is that what you're suggesting?
And we'll chew on this one for 20 minutes if we have to get it right.
All right. Yep.
Fair enough.
There's no time limits on that. We're here to help people and get it right, so we'll do that in half an hour. Keegan Matheson coming up from the Dome here in a moment. Some big breaking news. Man, people are freaking out online about this. Kevin Gausman cut his hair. So apparently it's very short, and people don't know how to respond to that. This is what's happening down at the Rogers.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what the hell?
Well, Gausman's had the flow since he got here, man. He's had the flow since he was in, Baltimore, man. He went through San Fran. He had flow. He's up here, and I guess the big story is you got 22 games left. What's he going to have, 4 more starts? And he's decided to take it down, I don't think to the shed, but, he's got short hair and superstitious.
This is what Rich Paul was talking about, the 365 news cycle.
Yeah.
A guy just used to get a haircut.
Right.
Jeff O'Neill playing for the Canes got a haircut. I don't think anybody noticed.
I think you could be right about that. Yeah, and maybe this is a social media phenomenon.
Yeah, I guess it is, but it's just it would make you think, why would you even bother? He had to have known with those locks. Why bother dealing with it? Well, there's a month left, possibly the playoffs. Just keep it trucking.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, based on our chat earlier this week with David Schneider, right, about him growing his mustache. And he grew it from an element of, from an angle of superstition where he wasn't feeling great about his game and his at-bats. And he said, screw it, I'm going with it. And it's worked out ever since. And I guess people are reading into this that Gausman isn't happy about the way he's either pitching or the way things are going with the Jays, that he's trying to mix up the mojo here with a new haircut. It probably means absolutely nothing. In fact, I'd put a lot of money on that being the case. But nevertheless, Jays are back in action. 22 games left, and it starts tonight, Kansas City in town. Kansas City starting with – they got an opener on the mound tonight. Kansas City is clearly – this is a team much like what we just went through with the A's, what we just went through with Colorado before that. You're going in thinking sweep, right? You're thinking sweep, and 2 out of 3 is absolutely mandatory. And Yusei Kikuchi on the mound tonight for the Jays. Yet when you look at the fact that Boston has faded the way that they've faded now, I think they're, 5 back of the Jays or 5 back of Texas possibly. Feels like a 2-team race. It's Texas and Toronto. And, the Jays, I think it's in their best interest to try to go, 14-8, 12-10 at a minimum. But 10 or 11 wins could still get you there based on how horrible the Texas Rangers have been playing. And Texas
but
will be in
baseball,
here soon.
dude. They turn that around.
You would anticipate they will, and they should. I guess what I'm saying is for the majority of the season, I thought 90 wins was mandatory. Now I'm not sure that's the case. Now it may be 88, 89. Right, and the Jays are 77 and 63. If they win 11 more ball games, do the math, that gets them to 88 wins. That might be enough. It might be. Let's head down to the park now. Here's Keegan Matheson of MLB.com. I'm sure you've done your own internal math, equation here, Keegan, of what you project needs to happen here for the Jays in the final 22 games. So I guess we'll just ask you to lay it out. What do you think that record has to look like for them to make the playoffs?
90 guys, I think, gives you a very good chance. But like you said off the top there, I think that number is moving. And when you look at the teams around the Blue Jays lately, It's more a question of, does anybody want to be that third wild card? Is anybody going to make a serious run? Is Texas going to come in here and play some legitimate baseball? Given the Blue Jays schedule lately, it's been a while since we've seen a good team. It's been a while since I have seen a pitcher face them that I've heard of. It's been a really soft spot. This has been a big opening for them. But it's a matter of who is going to make that run. What are these other teams going to do? And right now it feels like just Texas is the team you worry about. And it's all about those 4 games coming up, guys. Biggest series of the season, and I think we'll swing everything.
Well, big news today. Bichette has been activated off the IL. He'll be in the lineup tonight. And I'm curious if you have any read on how comfortable you would expect Bo to be, and if there's any reason to believe over the final 22 games he's going to return to 100%.
I don't think he'll be close to 100 guys at this point. Nobody is, of course, but when a guy's dealing with an actual injury, that's something you worry about. I think there will be the odd DH day mixed in here. And coming off of the patellar injury and then the quad injury, this is all related. It's all in the same place. That's not a coincidence. So he's a guy that needs to be monitored. I don't think he is out there at top speed. I think maybe if he's trying to beat out a ground ball tonight, that'll be your first tell. But he is trying to get through it. And 90% of Bo Bichette is still probably the best player on this roster, and I think comfortably so. That's what he's trying to give them right now, and I still think Bo is really the heartbeat of this entire team, frankly. And having him back in whatever percentage he's at, great news for them.
How's Gausman's salad, Keeg? Like, how's it looking? Have you put eyes on it, or what's the vibe?
Fellas, that was worrying. Somebody bounced past me with a short haircut, and it jarred me for a second. You know, you're not only is Kevin Gausman's hair what you're used to seeing, it's part of the entire image of Kevin Gausman. It's part of who he is. So you'll see that tomorrow. It might scare you a bit on the TV tomorrow. I might need to talk him into what I talked Yusei Kikuchi into, which is growing a bit of a beard out, you know, to frame the face a little bit. But man, oh man, I had to do a few different takes jogging past me because, you know, there was the trademark, and now it's gone. So I can't wait to hear the reason. Maybe he was home in Colorado, and some folks got to look at it and gave him a hard time. But he's cleaned it up. Maybe he'll show up post-game tomorrow, crisp white dress shirt, businessman, Kevin Gausman.
Right. Yeah, anything's possible, I guess, right? Anything.
Yeah. Yeah, how big of a loss is Danny Jansen out for potentially, obviously, the regular season and into the playoffs?
That's a huge one, guys. I think that Danny Jansen is one of maybe the most underrated pieces of this whole organization, really. He is someone who I try to more and more include when I talk about the core of this team. And what he's capable of as a catcher, working with a pitching staff, pitchers love him. And his power, his ability to come up in big moments, it's all there. This is a homegrown guy who's been here for a decade. I think is a guy who the Blue Jays really should prioritize keeping around long term. And frankly, if they do that, we're talking about one of maybe the best catcher in Blue Jays history by the time this is done. Like, Danny Jansen is putting himself on that track if he can stick around. So Alejandro Kirk suddenly becomes one of the most important players on this roster. He's got to keep it going. The Blue Jays need something from him because Jansen's timely hitting, I think, above everything, is what the Blue Jays will miss. He just had this ability to step up there and be cool. There's something cool about Danny Jansen in those big moments. They're going to miss it. If they make an ALDS or CS, maybe he comes back. But for now, not coming back the regular season.
Yeah, it doesn't seem likely, but at this point, you don't have to announce anything beyond the regular season, so why do so? But you mentioned Kirk, and, you know, Heineman's going to be up, and he'll catch some games as well. But it really does put a spotlight on Alejandro Kirk, who's had an awful season. Awful. And, you know, based on the Marino trade, they decided to keep Kirk and Jansen. Jansen has pulled his weight, clearly, and now he's out of the lineup. And this is a team that needs clutch hitting. They need to hit for some power, you know, different things that he was supplying last year in abundance. And really at no point this year has it felt like it's going to be there for, you know, a 20 or 22 game stretch. But he does have a chance to redeem himself, doesn't he, Keegan? Like, with Jansen out of the way, he's not going to catch every day, clearly, but he could. His bat will likely be in the lineup every day or close to it. If he could have a great stretch, final 22 games, push them into the playoffs, no one's going to remember what he did in April and May.
Yeah, it's easy to make people forget. You can say the same about Vladdy. A few of these guys have a big moment or two, people forget. Heck, I forget. I stop writing about your bad season for a few days. It's easy to make that happen. And Kirk, like you say, that version of him from last year is the perfect fit for this lineup. That's a dream fit. Balls in play, line drives. We've seen a little bit more of that lately, a little bit of encouraging signs. But frankly, guys, this team has made me struggle to trust encouraging signs. I guess in 2023, nothing really has stuck around. And with Kirk, some of his at-bats through the year just haven't really felt competitive. And a lot of that is due to his speed on the bases. If he hits the ball on the ground, you can get up and go to the kitchen before he gets to first base and leave it. That's okay. He needs to have some at-bats that are at least competitive, keep you watching, move some runners around. We know he is not, say, a dynamic base runner. We know there are limitations, but get the ball in the air, keep runners moving, and work with the pitching staff there, too. Tyler Heineman will have a few games here or there. He's suddenly thrust into a legitimate role in a playoff race, but man, do they need Kirk. They need that version from last year.
Keegan, Joe Siddle posted a video of Vladdy, and it was like 2021 and then this year. And to the naked eye, you're looking at it and you're like, I honestly don't see much of a difference. But there's some technical things there with as many games and how long the season is, and with the technology that's available to these guys. Are you somewhat shocked that this guy hasn't figured out a way to turn this thing around?
I am, guys, the level of talent that he has. And I think along the way there have been a lot of excuses made, not by Vladdy, but for Vladdy along the way. And when you look at these numbers, it's supposed to get better. It's going to get better. Reality is what they count on the scoreboard. They count what actually happens. And at this point of the year, you're still waiting for that to happen. And over the course of the season, you're looking for that adjustment. This is all about adjustments. It's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but everyone in the big leagues can hit a home run. Everyone can strike out Mike Trout. It's about adjusting and doing it every single time, figuring out how to be best every time. Vladdy has not been making those adjustments lately. When he makes those adjustments, that allows him to get to his talent and do something like win a home run derby. That's why this has been so frustrating, guys. I think you see his 2021, and you see him go out and win the home run derby and then come back and be a 770, 780 OPS hitter. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And my goodness, do the Blue Jays need this to happen? I keep pointing, guys, to Julio Rodriguez, that crazy run he has been on through September into this month. The Blue Jays need that from Vladdy. It's in there, but with each passing week, it's been longer and longer and longer since we've seen it consistently.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem likely at this point. But if you get Bichette back, I haven't seen any news on Chapman. Where are they kind of going with that, or what are they hoping here when it comes to Chapman?
Guys, he is out of a finger splint and taking ground balls, but not throwing that ball across the diamond. I just want to put you guys all through, the nature of modern MLB injury updates.
Right, exactly.
It's a real joy. Yeah, not throwing the baseball across the diamond, but catching the baseball.
Oh, great.
It won't be tomorrow, but maybe a week.
Okay. So using two different hands, even though only one was injured. Is that what you're telling us, Keegan?
Correct. Yeah, the right hand where that right middle finger is injured isn't doing much yet.
Right.
He banged that up in a weight rack, got it jammed in, and it's given him trouble for a while. Gripping a bat has been the problem. But until he is making full throws, max effort across the diamond, which we're not seeing yet, hard to put a timeline on that for Chapman, because that's been really hurting him, I think, and maybe had a bigger impact in his offense than I might have realized at the time.
Sure.
He's really been dealing with that.
All right, Keegan, we'll let you get back at it. Thank you, buddy.
You got it, guys. Take care.
Keegan Matheson of MLB.com. Jays Royals tonight. Yusei Kikuchi on the mound. You got Gausman tomorrow in his new hair, Barrios on Sunday, and then the 4-pack against Texas starting on Monday.
We got to play that video that Noodles sent us today of that bat boy.
Oh,
Did
this
you
poor guy.
see
What was he
that?
thinking?
God.
Well, you got to explain it, Noodles, because I think we have it. Joe from the Bridge, maybe you can roll it. There it is.
Look at this. Here, the Dodgers. That was Freeman. That's down the line.
Blatantly fair ball.
Look at this guy with his mustache.
And then he goes and sits down. Look at the outfielder.
Oh, he's
just
having a
staring at
dip,
him.
too. He's spitting into his spit cup, having a dip, and he's like, what? What did I do?
Well,
he's like, what?
Yeah,
this guy, because it is such a fair ball, it's not even close. And he runs. It didn't just land in his glove. He chased the ball down, and then said, "I'm going to make some kid's night here, and I'm going to fling him a ball." And then you're right. He's got a dip going. He's got a spit bottle on the sideline with a helmet and a mustache.
So his boss first says to him, "What the hell are you doing out there?" And then the secondary comment is, "We don't want our ball boys dipping on the sidelines." That guy's nonsense. In double trouble.
I think the headline on Twitter, what I was reading was like, what is the criteria to become a ball boy there?
Right.
Like, that's basically, like, there's got to be some form of training. You got to know the rules.
Dude, it's
like,
that was
so
a hero
funny
how
move.
he just got out there so quick. And
he's trotting too, though, man. He's like, watch this thing. I got that. Because, again, it's one thing if it barely touches the line and it's kind of over the first base. And that thing was between the first baseman and the second baseman.
He was high-stepping, too.
Like Freeman, it's not even close to being a foul ball. And he's like, I'll go grab that. Does he have high socks on, too, I think?
Yeah. It
launches it 5 rows up and goes and continues to dip with his helmet and mustache.
Dude, that outfielder wants to absolutely... Well, I guess he doesn't care because
it's not, and I think it would have been a double anyway. I think Freeman
that's a ground rule double, isn't it?
Yeah, it would have been a ground rule, and Freeman's probably going to run that out. He's probably going to get a double there anyway. But this cat is outrageous. That's what you get at the Trop. That's what you get.
Oh man.
All right.
That was something else.
That is a great video, though. It is a great because that is not a ball boy either, right? Like that guy, he looked like he was 35 years old.
That's a favor.
Like he has kids.
That's a favor where somebody's like, let this guy sit there for the game or whatever.
Right.
Like you're calling it a favor.
Can my neighbor Jimmy be the ball boy one night?
He won't do anything.
And he goes down there and he pulls that stunt.
You won't even know he's there.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
exactly.
He's literally like stopping the game with a dip in his mouth. All right. Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Dear Hayesy-B still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Mail It In Fridays brought to you by Boston Pizza, the best place for any family meal. Plus, for the month of September, kids eat free with minimum purchase when you dine in. So grab the kids and hustle into your local BP tonight. All right, we'll get to Dear Hayesy-B in a few moments. There's some news down in New York, the U.S. Open. Novak Djokovic is through to the final of the U.S. Open as he beat the young American Ben Shelton. And that's been the story of the tournament, really, from an American standpoint, is this Shelton kid, who I think is 20. And he's been lights out.
Who's he going to play? The other kid, the stud?
Probably Alcaraz. Alcaraz plays Medvedev tonight, the other semi.
Why does Medvedev like screwing around with the crowd? Like, is that just part of his gig? Like, he just...
I think he's a bit of a different cat. Like, was he the guy talking about, like, pirating the matches earlier? I feel like it was him. There was someone was saying... Because there's this big dispute going on with ESPN and a carrier down in the States. And I guess he's like, in my hotel, I couldn't get it, so I had to illegally stream. And people at the U.S. Open are like, what are you talking about? Like, please don't say that.
Yeah.
But I guess Djokovic was cold-blooded after the match because this Ben Shelton kid, he did it his last match. I don't know if he's done it throughout the tournament, but after he wins, he, like, picks up the phone and slams the phone down, like basically saying, it's over. And Djokovic just hit him with one of those after the match.
Really?
Which is a little bit greasy.
Yeah.
I mean, Djokovic, this kid's 20. It's the biggest match of his career, U.S. Open.
Why not?
Djokovic beat him in straight
know.
sets and just said, hey, boom, see you later, pal. That's what I'm going to do to Team Owen Wilson this year.
Well, but I like that. Djokovic is like, you know what? Like, now you're playing against the GOAT.
Yeah.
Like, we'll put you in your place.
Right.
Like, I don't mind it. Like, it is some good gamesmanship.
It's entertainment, man. Djokovic keeps you talking, man. He's a great player. He beat him in straight sets. He's feeling good. It's going to be a great final.
Was it Medvedev that was telling the fans that they were stupid and stuff? Was that
I'm not sure.
Fighting with
I'm not sure.
It didn't look that good. Like there's some bad looks on a couple guys.
There was two young ladies that were in the crowd that said something to him, and he was so mad the other day. He was
giving it to them.
Really?
Yeah, he was giving it to them. And then, I don't know. Every time I think of tennis, I think, where's our Canadians? They
didn't have a good run.
I know. It's been a tough run recently.
They were so surging, and it's kind of like it's coming to a bit of an abrupt halt.
Yeah. Well, like Bianca was injured. She didn't even play, right?
Yeah.
And like Felix has been hurt.
Layla's
been hurt.
dropped off.
Layla, her magical run was 2 years ago. And that was an incredible run. But
same with Bianca. Bianca
won in 19
5 years ago.
Yeah, she won in 2019. She won the U.S. Open, and since then she's basically just been injured. Like she has not had a prominent win since that U.S. Open win. Like in terms of deep into a big tournament, and it really is too bad because with every injury and every slam that passes, you get further and further away, and quite frankly, further and further out of the limelight.
Yeah.
And the expectation becomes, all right, maybe you're a one-hit wonder. I hope that's not the case. She's still very young, but it's not a good sign at all.
No.
So, anyway, maybe she'll want to write in. Dear Hayesy-B, we can give her some advice.
That's true.
On her career. It's always possible. It's something we'd be willing to do. So it is a Friday. It's around 6:30. This is a staple of the program. We haven't done this in a while. Let's fire up Dear Hayesy-B.
So then you asked yourselves, isn't there something more to life?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, well, let me clue you in on something. There isn't.
She said looks aren't that important to her?
Dear Hayesy-B.
My God, I got a couple of words for you. You better get your act together.
All right. You guys know how this works. People want help, and we give them help.
Yes,
it's as simple as that.
Very simple.
Yeah.
And this one is a big one. There's a lot to unpack here. It's just you got to just listen.
Okay.
Hazy, I'd like you.
I'm concerned. I have to be honest. But.
Hazy, I'd like you to go first because of the golf element to it, and then Noodles, you can come off the top rope.
All right.
Dear Hayesy-B, me and 7 of my best friends started a yearly golf trip last year, Ryder Cup style in Muskoka. This year it takes place in Clear Lake, Manitoba. The issue this year is the captain of the other team is getting married September 16th, next Saturday, and we fly out on the 20th. He hasn't told his fiancée, soon-to-be wife, he is leaving her and their newborn baby 4 days after the wedding. We are concerned he might just drop the bomb on her the night before. Do we pull the chute and start finding a replacement and risk him losing it on us? Or let it play out and watch him maybe make the biggest mistake of his married life only 4 days into it?
Yeah, this is pretty much everything you built it up to be. I think your play. Let me begin from the golf trip standpoint. Right,
before you say it, Hazy, this man's getting married. Okay, so if you're going to pull a fast one here, you better get yourself together, as Jerry Jones says. Go ahead.
I think the play for the other 7 members of the Ryder Cup teams, stealth mode, which I think will be very difficult to do. This is one of the biggest challenges you're going to have as a friend because you're going to be at the wedding. Presumably, you're at the wedding. Stealth mode, you got to try to find a replacement for the year because I think there's still a very good chance this guy pulls the pin last minute. Now, I'm assuming they're from Toronto. I don't know why they're going to Manitoba. That seems ridiculous to go to Manitoba for a golf trip unless they're scattered throughout the country and there's guys in Edmonton, guys in Vancouver, guys in Montreal, and you're kind of meeting in the middle. I guess that could make sense. But you got to find out if this guy's actually paid for the ticket yet. Like, if he has not actually purchased a plane ticket, then he's not coming, all right? That's first and foremost. He doesn't want to believe he's not coming because he wants to be there so badly because it sounds like it's an absolute blast.
What if he's the kind of cat that just says, you know what? I'm going to let it fly and just deal with the consequences. Like, I got to go to this.
Well, and
4 days in.
From his standpoint, and Noodles, I'll let you jump in after this.
Yeah.
He better not, and he can't, bring this trip up before the wedding, right? You can't be going into a wedding and open up the door for a potentially explosive reaction.
If he does that, he's a flat-out dummy.
Exactly. This is something you bring up the day after. Wasn't that amazing? Isn't that great? Man, we had so much fun. We'll never forget that. By the way, I'm leaving in 3 days. That's the play. All right? Go ahead, Noodles.
I think they find a replacement and they tell him he's uninvited for the trip. You're going to help him. You need to help this guy out because you just said it. He might end up shooting himself in the foot here because after the wedding, you kind of lean over and go, yeah, I'd like to go with the boys. And if she doesn't react well, and there's a newborn baby involved,
too. That's a really important element to this. You have a newborn child. That's really tough.
I think the guys take it in their hands and go, sit this one out.
Yeah.
You're just getting married.
That's smart.
We're good. We're going to replace you this trip. It's boys' trip next year. That way you don't give him an opportunity to mess with things. I think you just replace him and you say, hey, we assumed you weren't going to be able to make it. We replaced you. You know what? Have at. And it's a bonus if the wife goes, go, have a great time. Then you get it. But I think you replace him.
I think that's a very mature play. Now, my guess would be there were multiple dates thrown out. And what you're opening the door to is this guy saying, why don't we do it in July? No, we can't do it in July. And then he feels like he gets, kind of screwed over. Or there's a chance they took a poll and this guy said, I can't go before the wedding, but I'm in after the wedding.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of information there that we kind of really we need here. But I think you're onto something there, Noodles. I would suggest it's in this guy's best interest. As much as the wedding is one thing, if you have a newborn at home, you got to watch yourself leaving for 4 or 5 days to tee it.
There is also the idea of asking for forgiveness as opposed to permission.
Yep.
Right?
Valid.
I think you guys both have done cheesy things on dates in the past, and this guy wants some help.
Okay. What do we have?
Dear Hayesy-B, one of my good friends has a first date tonight at the Jays game. Any recommendations or tips to get a second date?
Well, I think you're off to a great start. I will say a sporting event on a first date, that's a big bite you're chewing on right there. I mean, that's a big ticket.
My wife would have said no thanks.
Really?
I've got one for you, though. I've got one. Don't bring a glove.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's repellent. That's a repellent.
You bring a glove, she won't get through the first inning. You'll be on your own. All right? She'll pull a little Wilson
You
on
bring
you
a glove, she'll fake a phone call saying there's an emergency in the first inning.
I'm telling you right now, you show up, it's all right to have a jersey or hat. Or if you bring a glove, she's just going to, she'll roll her ankle and say, take me to the hospital, do whatever.
I would suggest, here's the first play. You got to figure out, I'm assuming you're both Blue Jay fans, but the level of fandom both ways. If you're a lunatic fan, I'm talking about the gentleman here, and, she's a fan, but not – then you can't be trying to start the wave every second inning. You can't be yelling at the umpire. You got to control your emotions, right?
What about this?
Cool tonight.
What about this? Does he make a phone call to somebody, if he's somewhat connected, and say, can you get us on the Jumbotron? Is that a veteran move or no?
I'm not sure I don't think that's a first date move.
What if they'd asked for a kiss or something?
I did that at the Marlins game.
How'd you pull that off?
I just said to the camera guy, because the guy walking around?
Yeah.
I was right behind home plate. I'm like, can you give me some action?
All right. That's all right. But that wasn't a first date. You guys have been together.
No.
I mean, first date.
I don't even know why I
actually don't think that's a bad play, though. That's a memorable first date. The ball game is one thing. You get up on a Jumbotron. Not a lot of people get up there, man. I've been going to sporting events my whole life. I've only been up there a few times. It's
what
not
are you talking
easy to get
about?
up there.
Nick, you're on national TV with a Raptors game, courtside.
That's true. We got on there.
That was a
cool.
Jumbotron. That was TV, and you were throwing the looks around that was.
I've supplied a lot of meme material the last 6 months to a year.
My only worry is if he gets on the Jumbotron and it's like they go, hey, how about a kiss or something, and she shuts him down. You can't put her in a bad spot.
No, exactly. I think just play it cool. Don't act like you've been there before. Root for the home team. Hope for a win, and everyone's going to leave happy. I'm telling you, sporting events, that's a great first date. I think it's a great call. It's kind of like a movie, right? You don't have to talk the whole time. Let the game play out. Hopefully there's some action. Kikuchi's on the mound. He'll be a stud. Jay's put up runs. You're fine, right? It's all good. But here's another thing. If she indicates maybe she wants to leave early, you can't be like, well, I want to wait. You got to get out of there, right?
You get out.
You got to leave.
Yeah.
Hazy, I would like you to lead the charge here because I have a feeling in the past you hovered around at Costco, the dog station.
Yeah, I've been there. $1.50. Yeah.
For a drink and a dog. Got told off for fumbling around at the condiment table at Costco. I had 4 dogs to dress. Went to fill up my drink and the same guy hit the pop button too quick and hit the ice and sprayed all over my hand. I said, cool it. He said if he sees me again, it's trouble. Now what? Question mark.
Well, what does this mean? Like, you can't go back to Costco? The guy's going to lay a beating on you if you try to get some Kirkland product? That seems a bit extreme. I think... Listen,
what does it mean, though, when a guy's hovering around the dog station and says... If I see you again, it's trouble.
Yeah, I think there's probably some context here that is not included. Like, I'm guessing this guy maybe got the last dog. Not only that, there were 4 dogs on the rack, and he said, you know what, I'll take all of them. And the guy behind him was so hungry and went there specifically for the dog, and this guy took the last 4. It's going to be really aggravating. Then might have been a hero, right? Condiments, like that shouldn't really bother people. But if there's a line, we're living in a society here. I don't want to...
It shouldn't promote threats, though.
No, it should not. I'm not advocating for violence or threatening people. I'm just, there is some presumption here, I will admit. But I feel like our buddy who sent this tweet in, there's something else there, man.
Yeah, there's
People
a
aren't getting that
backstory.
pissed off at a Costco. No way.
There's a backstory. He stole his parking spot going in or something like that. There is a backstory there where finally the 4 dogs and the condiments put him over the edge.
Yes.
And they were nose to nose and going to have a man conversation out in the parking lot.
Right.
That's what's going to happen.
And the hand got a little wet, and then he dropped the coolant, and the guy's like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But, listen, Costco, it's for the people. I think you're all good there. I wouldn't concern yourself with, looking over your shoulder next time you're in there.
I think the thing to do is, because there was probably a bit of an error, like somebody screwed up, you be a man next time you see him and you buy him a dog.
It's $1.50. Bygones be bygones for $1.50.
And
pretty good.
That's fair.
If there's any words after you buy him a dog, it's Marty McSorley, Wendell Clark right in front of the dog station. That's the only way out of it, right?
Yeah. That's true.
I actually saw Wendell recently. Wendell could still, I think, lay a beating on 99% of the league. Yes. 99% of the league. If you came across the middle, 100% of the league would get Bruce Belled by Wendell.
Yes.
I don't think there's any questioning that.
Speaking of Wendell, this has to do with some Leafs tickets.
Okay.
Dear Hayesy-B, I know a guy with Leafs season tickets. He splits them up into 1/4 and sells 1/4 season tickets at a discounted rate. Mm-hmm. My buddy and I were going to buy 1/4 from him. At the very last minute, when the tickets are about to be emailed, my buddy backs out.
Ooh.
What do I do?
I'm a little bit confused by the math. There's too many quarters and
this guy is not a mathematician.
No,
he's
it's just
buying a quarter for himself. He's just buying. The one guy sells a quarter. He's buying a quarter. Him and his buddy, and the guy bailed at the last second. So he needs to find a partner.
Don't get confused.
Find somebody.
The bottom line at stake here was about.
He's buying like 10 tickets.
10
pairs
tickets.
Of tickets.
10 to 15
25%
tickets, yeah.
Okay, so he's buying about 10 pairs of tickets.
And this guy bailed on him the last minute.
Yeah, that's disappointing, but I think you got enough time here to find someone else to jump on board. And Leaf tickets can be flipped pretty quickly. Easier said than done. I think the issue here is what really sucks. It's not even about the money. It's that was your guy that you were going to go to the game with, right? Like, as you get older, it's difficult to find someone that is willing to go to sporting events all the time. I know that sounds crazy. It's one thing for it to be a one-off. Hey, I got tickets, October 28th. You want to come? Sure. Pencil me in. It's another thing to say we're going every other week for 6 months, right? Like that becomes a difficult thing. And if that was what was at stake here, was two buddies that love the Leafs that were going to go together, that is something I'm not sure you can overlook. It's not about the money. It's not about flipping the tickets. It's not about finding someone else necessarily for individual games.
It does sound greasy, though. There's some
a greasy
element. I think you go on your own,
shoot,
and you don't invite the other guy.
Well, that's another thing. I could see what's really going to be greasy is this guy will say, "Fine, I'll take him." And then the other guy will say, "Well, I'll still take 2 or 3." It's like, no. You were in for 10. That was the agreement. We were getting in for 10. You can't just get in for 2 or 3 now. But Leaf tickets can be flipped. I don't think that's concerning. I think the team can help out with that if need be. And
the only thing I want to give a pass to the guy who bailed is like you don't know his situation, like if he lost his job or something and couldn't but you can find a friend to go with you, especially around here. I mean, Joe from the Bridge would friend this guy in a second.
In a heartbeat. There should be an app for that. Just Leaf fans, desperate Leaf fans who will drop everything at any point to go to a game. Joe from the Bridge would be the poster boy of that. He is personally responsible for this show right now. If someone called him and said there's a Leaf game in 20 minutes, we'd go to black. We'd be off TV. Joe from the Bridge would say, "I'm on my way down. My Camaro is spinning, and I'm going to hit the Parkway, and I'm downtown before you know it." And
all of us, our sports fans, will end with this one.
Okay.
Dear Hayesy-B, for our jobs, guys, we have to watch a lot of sports. My girlfriend and I recently moved in together. She knows I'm a huge sports fan, but I don't think she knows quite how much I watch sports. With this being one of the best times of year to watch, do I ease her into it or go full steam ahead and set the tone early?
I love these. Oof. This is what we are here for.
This is you, Hayes. This is you.
I have lived this experience where my now wife, like we started living together, man, I should probably know this. It's been 12 or 13 years.
Best years of your life.
Best years of my life, no question. And now I do this for a living. So I have a built-in explanation and maybe excuse it sometimes. Like I have to watch the game. I'm assuming our friend here probably does not work in sports or sports media, so that is not necessarily there. But I would suggest you set the tone and you set it early. I mean very early. We're talking U.S. Open final. We're talking a full slate of NFL games. We're talking kickoff at 1 p.m. That game's going to end on Sunday night at like 12:15, right? Like you're talking almost 12 hours of football, and then you wake up on Monday and the biggest game of the week, Bills-Jets, is waiting for you Monday night. Not to mention, on Monday, the Rangers are in town. Jays-Rangers, biggest series in years in this city. This is where you've got to floor it because it's the best time of year, right? You make it clear that there are different pockets of the season where you kind of take it easy, right? And if really major things pop up in life, clearly those are the priorities. But if nothing else is planned this weekend, you sit your ass on that couch and you absolutely floor it and watch sports. You have to.
I don't know if I'm looking at this differently, but this is a slam dunk solution. And here's what you do. You go on eBay and you buy a whole set of wood whittling objects. Like you whittle little birds and stuff out of wood.
Like carpentry.
Yes. And you get a setup in the garage. And when you go in the garage and you say, I like to whittle I whittle stuff out of wood.
So you're doing something.
Yes.
I see.
So then you creep out to the garage. You're like, I'm going to go make something out of wood. And you put a TV right in that corner of the garage, and you are home free, pal.
So in other words, it's a hobby. It's a hobby and you're actually doing. Where sitting there watching TV isn't considered doing.
But
anything.
You got to find a little antique place that has little wooden objects. Where once in a while you come back in and you say, "I whittled this little
That seems
squirrel."
extreme, man. What if this guy
There's
gets
a
like
price tag on
manicures
the
and
bottom.
pedicure? Like he's got no calluses or anything. She's not going to buy that. You're a carpenter all of a sudden. Like, what's
Yeah.
she's not going to buy that. Like,
You know what
just
you
Like
do.
you whittle a bird.
Yeah. All of a sudden,
She's like,
you're
that's
this
amazing.
carpenter.
Can you whittle me
Listen.
one more?
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
get two. Let's do a set. Go out in the garage and whittle me another one. And you're
Right.
sitting there going,
Here,
I only got one.
Guys, it's very simple. You set the standard. You put the iPad on the island, and you say, "Excuse me, dear, I have to run to the store," and you play a YouTube clip on like whittling competitions around Ontario, so she knows that you're into it. Like it's
Insanity.
all right. No, it's
Insanity
not.
to go to those depths when you could just say, you know what, I'm going to watch some football.
No,
I'm watching the ball game tonight.
that does not fly a lot of the times.
Well,
you
I
whittle
I do
some
have
stuff
one
in the-
question.
I understand.
I have one question for Hayes. Like, did you go? Like, would you just lay on the couch and order pizza twice? And like, was it the 12-hour? Like, did Aaron know exactly what you were all about?
I
like,
doubt
not from
it.
day one, but
Not
like
from
6
day one.
months in.
Probably
6 months in, she's
it
like,
probably
holy
didn't take
smokes.
too long to realize that this guy is watching a lot of sports. Like, it's really
and not moving from the couch. at all.
really unhealthy. Like, it's really there's not a lot of movement. At times she would poke me and be like, "Are you still alive?" Stuff like that. I think it became pretty
love
evident
it.
pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
and then listen, when you have kids and stuff, it's a completely different game. Like, I haven't
Yeah.
put in a full 12-hour Sunday shift in a long, long time. I intend on doing it very soon, possibly this weekend. But hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? Do what you love. And if the person that loves you, they'll love that you love doing what you do. Take that to the bank. Throw that on a T-shirt.
How was that?
I'm not sure if that made any sense. But the point being, be yourself, love sports, watch sports.
Okay,
All right,
great.
Tony Robbins. That's what we're here. We're here to help people. That's what we're doing. Tony Robbins. All right, Mail It In Fridays, brought to you by Boston Pizza, the best place for any family meal. Plus, for the month of September, kids eat free with minimum purchase when you dine in. So grab the kids and hustle into your local BP tonight. We'll come back with our best bets, brought to you by FanDuel. Look ahead to a busy weekend in sports. Busy weekend in sports that we're all going to be watching, right? All comfortably watching. Some of us will be whittling wood.
Yeah.
Others will just be sitting on the couch. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, we'll get to our best bets brought to you by FanDuel here in a moment. Again, the U.S. Open continues on the men's side. Novak Djokovic beating Ben Shelton in straight sets. Would have seen that on TSN. And mocking the kid afterwards, doing his celebration, hammering the phone down. So, I don't know, man. You'd think Djokovic might be above that. He's been around for a while. He's won a lot of slams. But
Dude,
especially in the
sometimes
States.
you just gotta let everybody know that the King Daddy Topper is still hanging around, man.
I hear you, but I think they knew that when he beat him in straight sets. The kid's 20 and he's American, and he's like, I own
Dude,
you.
you always talk about it. This is the content game. Would you rather him just said, "Great playing"? No, you want to hang up the phone.
Yeah, I think it's I'm intrigued by it. I'll grant you that. And I guess Djokovic doesn't care if you love him or hate him. I mean, I think that's pretty clear, right? Like, he's going to do what he's going to do.
been through enough where with the COVID and the vaccine, where he just basically told people to stuff it, so he doesn't care anyway.
Exactly. He doesn't care at all. He's like, I'm
No.
going to do my thing, man. And that's that. So, Alcaraz.
He's the only one
Medvedev.
standing too, right? He's one of the from the legends. He's the last guy standing, really.
That's right. Federer's done. Nadal's effectively. Andy Murray, he's not playing much anymore. He's injured all the time. But if we get another, final here, like we saw at Wimbledon, Alcaraz versus Djokovic, that'll be a dream come true. That'll be huge on Sunday. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. All right, so looking at the board for Sunday, you can parlay this if you want. I would suggest you should. Commanders on the money line. All right, Commanders outright. They're a 7-point favorite at home. Arizona is in Washington. They are projected to be the worst team in the league. I think they're trying to be. I think Arizona's trying to be. I have no idea if that coach has any clue what he's doing, but it hasn't been a great look for him in Arizona early in his tenure. I like Washington. I like Ron Rivera as a head coach. They got a young quarterback, also not necessarily proven, but at home, new ownership. I think they get the new owner bump. I like Washington outright. I like Cincinnati money line as well. We talked about it earlier. I think the Bengals going to Cleveland get a win, and Seattle money line. So you got to pay some juice, but if you parlay all that, it's paying plus 242. All right. Commanders, Bengals, Seahawks outright. Parlay for plus 240. Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and find thousands of ways to wager. Please play responsibly. Must be 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. All right, it's been a wild week. A wild week. A lot of ups and downs. A roller coaster of emotion. But we're through it. We're into the weekend. And it's going to be a fun one, right? We got a big Jays series. We got the NFL cooking. Before you know, NHL, NBA. You got the FIBA World Cup finals. And, of course, the bronze medal game, Canada versus
training camp
USA.
starting next week. Training camp start?
Yeah, if not the week after that. But
the week
soon.
following. But they report
they
report next weekend type of thing.
Yeah, it's go time, man. We're getting real close. So it's going to be fun. All right, thanks to everyone from behind the scenes for helping out today. We appreciate it. Everyone that tuned in today, radio, TV, podcast, web, we appreciate that as well. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.